Welcome, fellow Guardian. And look, being a Guardian, I know that you will be a good person. That's what people say about you. You know how to party, but you also know when to stop. And let's be honest, you are a rock of your community. So welcome to this Guardian's Guide to the other classes in Flesh and Blood. Me, look, I'm a Pallades player. She knows how to party, but she knows when to stop, and she is leader of her band. Yep, she is that rock that the community is built around. But let's have a talk about some of the other classes that we... Brute, one of the other Foundation classes just like ourselves. And look, they like to think of themselves as pretty down-to-earth, simple kind of folk who go unga bunga, beat their chest and just hit hard. But that is all a mask really for what is lying underneath, which unfortunately is a chronic gambling problem. Yes, they have to roll this to see how many turns they get to go. They have to discard cards to see what their card is actually going to do. They're always leaving things up to chance, not actually just sort of playing the card that is there and not having control of their lives. They are very risky people. And as I say, because of that gambling addiction, there's people that I wouldn't actually lend money to. So be a bit careful to them. Nice people, but I say not good with money and take far too many risks. Moving on to warriors then, and look, they're mainly from Solana. They're very holier than thou, aren't they? Let's be honest about this. All of that kind of upfront and sort of better than other people, but they also don't like to get their hands dirty, and hence why they use their weapon all the time rather than real attack action cards. So look, they try to be kind of nice and stuff, but let's say they do tend to be that little bit full of themselves, and don't ask them to do anything because, unfortunately, they don't like to get their hands dirty. They're not really the people to get things done at the end of the day. The last of the Foundation classes is Ninja. Now, these people are your traditional ADHD people. Attack, 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 attack. Yes, that's how their turn will go. Going wide, lots of attacks. Then they're going to wait, then they'll run out of cards and go, oh, I guess it's your turn then. They're going to get distracted and look at some bright, shiny thing that's happening. You're going to attack them. They're going to pretty much ignore you until it's their turn again, and then attack, 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 attack. Yes, that's right. They're all about the shiny things, all about attack, attack, attack. They're having attention, ADHD, I say, they need to have their attention grasped from this kind of thing. So lovely people. But at the end of the day, again, another crowd not to ask to do anything because they'll be very enthusiastic and want to do it, and then they'll get distracted by something else that's brighter and shinier at that time. So again, if you want to get things done, these aren't the people really to help you out. After the Foundation classes, we then had the next round of classes coming out, and that included Wizard. Now these people, it's a bit like dealing with a 5-year-old in a playground, except probably with a PhD, because let's be honest, they are difficult decks to actually play. But it's like, me, my turn, and our turn. That's right, they don't think you should have a turn per se, they reckon that they should be playing in your turn and playing in their own turn. So a bit kind of selfish in that kind of way. Look, really nice people, don't get me wrong, but they're not so nastily selfish, but they do like to just be having everything themselves and actually being part of doing everything and being part of it. Kind of like your ADHD people, but with a different kind of tint from that point of view. And yes, they're going to be stealing your stuff as well as having their own stuff. Don't leave your drink around; they might think it's theirs as well. Now our Rune Blades, these are a bit how do you put it? They just can't make a decision at the end of the day. Do I want to do arcane damage? Do I want to do physical damage? I'm not really sure. I better do both. And look, they just can't make their mind up, and so hence they end up in this class because they can't really choose a class that to do something. LSS is quite happy that these ones tend to go to LL pretty quickly, because that means that these people then have to actually make a choice and choose a real hero rather than defaulting into this one that basically just does everything, and because they can't really decide what they really want to do. So people thankfully hopefully don't stick around in this class too long, because they should be picking a real hero, let's be honest. Now they did bring out a class called Ranger. Now what are these people like that play Ranger? Well, who really knows? Because let's be honest, no one actually plays Ranger at all anymore. Maybe they did back in the day, because apparently a couple of them did make it to LL. But nowadays, no one really plays Ranger, and LSS just really use it as an excuse to add extra cards to pad out their sets. So don't worry about this class, because you're unlikely to come across anyone who plays it anyway. Mechanologists, well, this is for the people who like playing cards, but don't actually like fantasy. And so they want to do cyberpunk. I want to have a snazzy gun. I want a snazzy bike. I don't like those horses and swords and things. So that's what mechanologist is. And look, because they see themselves as being snazzier, they also think their decks are really complicated and confusing. Look, for those of us that play the game, we know that actually all it is, yay, I'll boost. Turn over that card. Oh, funny, it's a mechanologist card, because all your cards are. It's not actually that complicated a deck once you know what you're doing. So you'll see these people probably hanging around with the newer players because, hey, they like to show off and show how complicated their decks are. And let's be honest, at first, these decks can be complicated to look at, but when you get down to it, they're not that complicated after all. They're just trying to impress people and trying to impress all those new players. Moving on to illusionists, and yeah, we do have to go back to that playground. And to find your illusionists, these are like the kids that are sat in the corner of the playground playing on their own with their imaginary friends. That's right. Unfortunately, these people generally don't have any friends, and that's why they're creating all these imaginary dragons and imaginary angels and phantasms of this sort or that sort. So look, be kind to these people, because as I say, they don't have very many friends, if any at all, and really do need your arm around their shoulders to be nice to them here. Look, they are nice and stuff, but they just perhaps don't always know how to deal with other people, because, as I say, they're generally playing with fantasy friends all of the time and make-believe people. Coming out of order of the heroes that are released, I'm going to jump into Necromancer next, because Necromancer, very similar to Illusionist. Yes, they, again, lots of these make-believe friends, but in their case, they're dead ones. And that's a little bit more scary, let's be honest, when your make-believe friends are dead people. So do be a bit careful around these sort of ones. I wouldn't go around their house if I were you. You don't know what skeletons are in the closet or what bodies are being buried in the cellar with these ones. So yes, a bit more wary around the Necromancer if I were you. Again, not many friends, but perhaps not the ones to put your arm around and be as nice to and as caring for as your illusionists, let's be honest. Getting back on track then, and our final sort of serious class is Assassin. Now, these are the people that are the loud person at the party who wants to be the centre of the party and always have all of the attention. Because yes, look, this game is about reducing the other person's life to zero. You don't need to do all the other fancy whistles and bells, like, oh, we'll make you discard that card, we'll make you, we'll give you this token, we'll give you that token. Oh, look, you can't, everything's a bit harder for you to do. And look, they just seem to be wanting to do cartwheels and mental gymnastics to actually get to the end goal of just reducing your life to zero. So look, I say show-offs at the end of the day, it's more important to them that everyone's paying attention to them and that everyone acknowledges how clever they are, rather than actually winning the game and taking part in the game itself. So just flatter their ego and you'll keep these people nice and happy. Moving on to the more esoteric classes, and first up, look, shapeshifters. You might not actually even realise you've met one of these people, because they're always pretending to be something else. Their hero's trying to be a different hero all of the time, and they're a bit like that as well. The giveaway for them, though, is if you ask them what their job is. Generally, they'll say it's something like astronaut or fighter pilot, when in reality, they're Ben from accounts at the end of the day, living in a fantasy world. And let's be honest, that's part of what playing a card game is all about, but they take it to another level. Yeah, these ones, you might not realise you've met them, but when you think back, you go, is that really, do we really have that many astronauts and spacemen around here? I don't think so. Now, Merchant is probably a class you're only going to see in UPF at the end of the day. You can play them in Silver Age, but you're unlikely to see them there because UPF is where they really do their best business at the end of the day. Yes, they'll have brought everyone at the table a round of drinks beforehand, buttered everyone up, made them all your best friends, and then They'll sit back while all the infighting happens, and then they'll stab you in the back at the end. That's their kind of playstyle. Yes, they are looking for all the cons. They are looking for all of those dodgy tricks that you can do to avoid your taxes, to avoid all of those sort of things. That's the kind of person you're dealing with here. So yes, be on their good side, because you know what? They can get a cheap thing and they'll know where all the best deals are, but I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them, if I'm going to be honest with you. Bards. Now, who would play bards? Well, this is for the people who used to play a musical instrument in their teens at high school and think that, hey, if I just kept practicing, I could have made it. I could have been the next Adele. I could have been the next Ed Sheeran. I could have been in a rock band. I could have been a superstar. And so this is people who basically are trying to say, I didn't make my dreams, but trying to recreate their dreams back then from that. So yes, say how wonderful a guitar player, musician they are, and just agree with them when they go down the music rabbit hole on this one. Let's pretend that their dreams could have been, if only, and we'll keep these people nice and happy. There is a class with one hero, and that is Thief. Yes, that's right, Scurv, who came out in High Seas only as a young hero, is this class. So people who want to play Scurv, well, yes, they want to be different. They don't want to follow the conventions. Also, if you're going to want to be Thief, let's be honest. Let's hope they don't want to be a thief in real life, and that you still have all your cards at the end of the evening. During play, clearly they're going to try and steal your gold and take your money off you. But let's hopefully they keep it that and they don't mix up reality and fantasy. So keep an eye on your wallets around these people. So there you have it, Guardian. I've given you the knowledge. Now you have the information you need when you next go to your armory to know the community and the kind of characters you have around you. Remember though that you are a rock of that community. You are somebody that people gather around that look to for guidance to help them enjoy their evenings. So remember, be part of that and be a leader within your community, and let's grow the Flesh and Blood game. If you enjoyed that, then please do drop a like, share, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. Give us a comment. Tell me your thoughts on the different classes. And thank you for watching. I've been Paul, the guy who's on a fab journey.